I, 31 female, am married to James, 35 male, and we have a toddler son together. James also has 2 children, Grace, young female teen, and Luke, young male teen, from his ex-wife Sharon, 36. Sharon and James have been divorced for 12 years, and ever since, Sharon has been in a string of relationships and had 4 additional children who range in age from tween and under. She's currently married and has 3 stepchildren who are pre-tween and under. James has always been willing to help Sharon if needed so the kids can see them getting along, and so they know he always does his best for them and their mom. But now he wants me to go a step further than he ever has, and he wants me to babysit all of Sharon's kids since I'm a stay-at-home mom technically, but I do run my own online business to earn money and can do that around everything else in my life. He said Sharon is struggling to find childcare for all her children, and her husband is a bit of a deadbeat. I found out after that Grace asked her dad to help because she worried about her mom. I told James that was too much for me. He said he would help where he could, and I wouldn't need to worry about money because he would take care of it. I told him that's a lot though, and honestly too overwhelming for me. He was frustrated with me, and I told him I didn't appreciate the pressure he was putting on me. Later, Sharon called and told me she wanted to start dropping off the kids after Christmas. I told her I hadn't agreed. She told me James had told her I would do it. She then told me I should be willing to help out, and it would win the kids over, Grace and Luke, to me, and maybe even to my son, their half-brother. I told James he had no right to promise anything on my behalf. He told me he believed I would be on board, and he was surprised I was so against it when I never had a problem with him helping. Then he asked me to give a reason why I couldn't help with getting someone in to help me take care of the kids. I told him he could just pay for people then if he's so determined, but I won't be babysitting. I also told him we need marriage counseling because of this. Also, this might be meaningless, but I feel I should confess it here. Another reason I'm unwilling, even if it wasn't so much hard work, is the fact Grace and Luke have never shown an interest in my son. But they're half-siblings from their mom and step-siblings from her. It's totally different. I think it's because they consider all of them, even the steps, their mom's kids. But with my son, he's mine and not as much their dad's. They're not fond of me or their mom's husband. It's something I've been working on. But I admit the idea of having all the kids as my son gets a bit older and him watching his 2 siblings treat their other siblings so much better makes me say no anyway. Anyway, Sharon is calling me an idiot and saying I'm not thinking of my stepkids. James thinks I should have been willing to work with him to figure out a compromise. Am I the idiot? I'm trying to do the math here. She has 6 biological kids, 2 with your hubby and 4 with other men, and 3 stepchildren. So he wants you to watch 7 additional kids during the day. Not to mention your child, Grace and Luke. It's 10 kids in total. I'd say no for the sheer chaos that would cause. Also, you work. Stop calling yourself a stay-at-home mom. You work from home with a flexible schedule and keep reminding your husband of that. Yeah, you'd be watching 10 kids in total, right? What the heck? That's not a reasonable request. In an emergency situation for one day or evening, maybe, and only if you're up for it. But regular daycare doesn't even allow that many kids with one person. It would also bother me greatly that your husband goes that far to help his ex. I get he's probably doing this for the benefit of his kids, but this is taking it very far. You are not the idiot. His voluntolding you is a big problem in your marriage. Watching 10 children along with your own while working from home is not feasible in any way, shape or form. Be sure to tell both of them in text that if they drop the children off, you will call the police. Go to your support system since James is not it. This is not a "can you watch my kid for me for a few hours?" It's "can you set up and run a full-blown daycare for me for free?" And Jesus, can you imagine the cost of food too? I'm a guy and I'm honestly going to tell you, your husband has agreed to this because he knows he won't be the one doing the main heavy lifting of all these kids, apart from throwing money at it. He will only do the bare minimum of anything with all the kids. I guarantee you. Are you sure your husband isn't sleeping with her? Because that is the only reason I think anyone would even propose this bizarre scenario. Before my cousin married her husband, she was one of those eat the rich anti-capitalist people who blamed rich people for the world's problems, especially climate change. I love her, but she was annoying about the whole thing a lot of the time, and it was almost her entire personality at one point. She hated rich people to the point that when she met her husband, she claimed he only wanted to date her because he wasn't used to not getting his way because he grew up rich, and she'd get angry whenever he did anything nice for her. Even when she married him, she claimed it was okay because she could give all of his money away if she did. They moved to Australia a few months ago and they were supposed to stay there for 3 years minimum, but my cousin found out she was pregnant 2 weeks ago and, according to her husband, had a complete meltdown. She'd never lived away from her parents before, and she said she was already overwhelmed because her life had been changing so fast. So finding out she was pregnant was the final straw. Her husband is lovely, so he dropped everything and they left Australia the very next day. He has to go back after the holidays to sort some things out, and it seems like they're going to have to be long distance for a while since my cousin doesn't want to be so far from family. She told me he planned to fly back and forth while he sorted some things out. I pointed out that would be bad for the environment since she still acts super passionate about climate change. She claims they don't have another choice, which is very clearly a lie. I also told her she'd become a hypocrite by marrying her husband since he was everything she stood against personified. I think her pregnancy hormones got to her because she started crying when she normally wouldn't cry over something like this. I feel bad for making her cry since that wasn't my intention. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. It wasn't pregnancy hormones, you were just mean. One thing we learn in life is never say never because life has a twisted humor. As people grow, their views and opinions change, and that's okay. It was a fair comment about the environment because that is true, but is he taking a private jet? If not, and if he's flying on commercial planes, then it really doesn't have a big environmental impact anyway. Also, she's clearly going through something, so maybe bringing up this jokingly at a later date, not seriously when she's having a life crisis. Even if it's not on a private jet, taking long-haul flights is still one of the major contributors to our carbon footprint. It's a smaller impact than flying private, obviously, but it's still big relative to the rest of our typical consumption. It sounds like Cousin's less eat the rich and more make the rich eat you. Mad props to her for playing the system. Yeah, it sounds like she wouldn't have had that perspective before the money. She just softens her views for herself. OP, not the idiot. You gave her a taste of her own medicine and her judgmental butt didn't like it. She is the rich she hates now, who has the luxury of just flying back and forth all because she had a tantrum about being pregnant and away from family. She is a complete hypocrite. My wife and I, 48 male, have a son, John, 26, who recently told us that he's asking his girlfriend, Cece, to marry him. We met Cece a few times before and she seems like a nice girl, but we have concerns about Cece's family. My wife and I own a few rental properties, and John stays in one of the properties rent-free as he's still in grad school. My wife and I have always agreed to provide free housing for all our kids, especially while they're in school, so that they don't have to worry about rent in a high cost of living area. The concern with Cece's family comes from having met the family a couple of times before. They seem inappropriately interested in my wife and my finances, and Cece's mother, from what I've heard from my other kids and a little from John, is close to retirement, has no savings or plans set up for retirement. Her mother has multiple times attempted to move in and live rent-free in one of my properties because, according to her, it is her future son-in-law's house. My take is that Cece's mother sees John, who's about to graduate from med school, as their retirement security. John's my oldest, and I've signed a will where he gets a large amount of cash plus the property that Cece's mother was trying to move into. I'm not sure if the mother knows that, and that's why she was trying to move in, but John knows what he's inheriting. My biggest fear is that somehow that family will end up with a piece of the house for whatever reason once I pass. John has a pure heart and always sees the good in people, and I think his future mother-in-law will take advantage of that. When John told me he was getting married to Cece, I requested that he sign a prenup to protect his inheritance, and also prenups are generally advisable, but he was vehemently against it. I told him that he would be written out of the will and the house would go to our other kids if he married her without a prenup, but it seemed like he wasn't budging, so I'd gone ahead and started plans to leave the house to my other kid. I have good reasons not to trust Cece's family and their intentions with my son. I'm not going to tell a grown man who he can and can't marry, but I want to protect what I'm leaving for my children. My son stopped talking to me, and I'm unsure if I was that unreasonable. Edit, we are primarily concerned about the house. My son will still be receiving the huge chunk of cash on the will. He will be getting something, just not the house. When my wife and I met Cece's mother, she made multiple comments about how her future son-in-law has her retirement taken care of, and she's asked us multiple times if she could move into the house to the point where it was getting inappropriate. Okay, so I think you should trust your gut, and based on the example of the future mother-in-law already pushing to live rent-free in your property, I think you're onto something, and you are not the idiot. You could do a trust and have a trustee continue to exercise control after your death, or even in your will. You could have a prenup clause, my father did that, where anyone who wants to inherit must have a prenup. I think Cece's family will move in with John and his wife as soon as they're married. And if John and Cece are okay with that, it shouldn't be a problem. If John isn't okay with that and is pressured to do so by his not-quite in-laws, then sure, it's an issue. But from the sound of things, John doesn't have an issue with his in-laws. I can see where OP is coming from, but I also think there's a level of manipulation and control at play when Dad is saying, if you don't do what I want, I'll write you out of the will. John isn't entitled to any sort of inheritance, but trying to use it as leverage to affect his decisions is manipulative at best. But it sounds like OP is footing John's bills at that property. Maybe I'm just making a wild assumption here, but if OP has housing costs taken care of to help the kids with their bills while in school, it would stand to reason that utilities are included. If I were OP, I wouldn't want to pay any bills as part of someone else's retirement. Trust your gut. Why should you have outsiders come in and take what you worked for? Maybe you want to leave your son a bit of cash, but nothing major that the in-laws could benefit from. It would be interesting to see how things would turn out if the girlfriend's family knew that your son was getting nothing and would not be funding their retirement. I, 30 female, am currently the guardian of my niece Jade, young grammar schooler, and nephew Mark, preschooler. My brother and his wife, the parents, passed away 8 months ago. My cousin Rita, 30 female, is getting married to her partner, Andy, 29, non-binary. She would like Jade and Mark to be part of her wedding. Andy and Rita do not care for traditional gender roles for their wedding. Andy's best friend growing up is a woman and she would be his best woman. One of Rita's bridesmaids is a trans woman and another is a non-binary who will be wearing a tuxedo to the wedding. Andy and Rita asked me if Mark could be the flower boy and Jade the ring bearer instead of the traditional roles. Mark would still wear his little tux and Jade a taffeta dress. I believe if it's not too crazy, whatever the couple wants at their wedding, they should get. I said yes, and everyone was happy. Rita took a picture of Jade and Mark and posted it on social media, captioning it, "My flower boy and ring bearer girl." A few hours later, after the kids and I got home, I got a call from Zoe, my sister-in-law's mom, and the kids' grandma. Zoe and Rita were Facebook friends because their workplaces collaborated once, so she saw the picture of Jade and Mark. Zoe blew up at me, telling me Jade and Mark cannot take up those roles. She said they would just attend the wedding as guests if they were not the flower girl and ring boy. She said all this gender-fluid hogwash would come back and bite society later, and she wants her grandkids away from the drama, and neither Rita nor I had the right to place her grandkids amid this gender nonsense. She said Jade and Mark have the right to be protected and keep their activities and participation to things that are gender appropriate. I personally think Zoe is ridiculous and needs to chill. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Zoe is ridiculous. What little boy wouldn't love to walk down the aisle throwing things at people and making a mess? Heck, at 4, that would have been my son's preferred role at a wedding. Walk down the aisle carrying a pillow or throwing flower petals. No brainer there. I think Zoe has a point. Everyone knowing that touching flowers before the age of 5 makes little boys like floral design, and from there, it's just a matter of time before he's gay, and nobody wants that. Good grief, Granny, get a grip. There is nothing gender-specific about carrying either a ring or some flowers. Both these tasks can be done by someone of any gender. The deal with my kids was I would pay for basically all of their college if they got good grades, graduated on track for their degree, and held a campus job. I also made it clear if they drop out, I will not pay them to go back even if I have the money. My son did great, my second oldest did great also. My third kid did not. She was struggling, so I got rid of the requirements of a campus job and let her focus on her grades. She failed and admitted to not attending class or doing the work. A lot of other factors went into it, but the plan is that she will take a light semester next semester and live at home. I thought we had an agreement until today. She told me she got into another college and wants to go there. She would have to pay full price for this college. The one she's in at the moment is a good college that has given her scholarships. The new one is a branch state school known to be a party school. It's also far away, so she can't live at home. So she will be spending twice as much, won't be at home, and it's a party school. I told her it would be a waste of my money to send her to that school. She can go, but she will need to take out loans, and my financial help ends. This started an argument about me controlling her life, and I'm a huge jerk. Her siblings also got involved and called me a jerk for holding the money. I never did that to them, but they were responsible and she isn't.